A decorated police officer is now under arrest. Mesa Sergeant Edward Fire charged for allegedly tipping off a drug dealer ahead of a SWAT raid. The accusation sparking a new internal investigation and also concerns over what other criminal cases he has handled in the past. Josh Logan is a former law enforcement officer right here in the Valley. He's also a training expert in public safety. Josh, you're joining us now to talk a little bit more about the case. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so first off, what is your just reaction in general to these allegations against Edward Fire?
So similar to what Chief Chapman said is that it's an absolute stain on the badge in the honor of being a law enforcement officer. I went out every day and did the best I possibly could to protect our communities, and 99.9% of police officers do that. And it takes that one bad actor to ruin a lot of good work.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I guess, that they had some kind of relationship. He said they were drinking buddies, whatever. They lived in close proximity, lived near an apartment. Can you talk about just, though, the danger that the SWAT team could have faced? I mean, if this guy, used a weapon, for example, when he knew that the SWAT team was coming for him.
Right. I mean, a narcotics search warrant has its dangers already.
Yeah.
When we're talking about usually drugs and narcotics, we typically talk about guns and a lot of different other dangers. When we talk about SWAT operations, the element of surprise is absolutely paramount. And Chief Chapman nailed it. There's so many things that could have gone wrong, and it's near and dear to my heart because that's my agents, that's my former agency, and these are people that I hold dear to my heart. And to endanger them to that level, I've had many friends that in my life that I've had to leave because of what I did and the choices that they make. And you took an oath to you protect and defend, and you just completely eroded all of that. And just for the sake of a drinking buddy, it's hard to find words on that end.
Yeah, and it will be hard. I mean, if there's, as we're saying, text messages and a call made, to alert him, that's going to be very difficult to fight in court for the police officer. Our reporting also uncovered the close relationship between them. Can you talk about just the danger of having a relationship with someone who is involved in drugs? And I know that, for guys and women who are undercover, that is a completely different situation. But can you just talk about just kind of, as an officer, you have to be very careful with who you have a relationship with in general?
Well, you mentioned undercover work. It's a line. It's a line that you just don't cross. So even working undercover or plainclothes, you just don't cross that line. And there's things that you can tolerate and to a certain sense, but when it comes to criminal behavior, known criminal behavior happening in front of you, around you, and you allow that in your life, you're crossing a line. And then when you cross that line from knowing that there's criminal behavior happening around your life, then doing said criminal behavior, that just completely changes the paradigm. And the fact that it's just everything is unacceptable. But now we're actually talking about endangering the lives of SWAT officers, which then could potentially endanger the lives of the other residents. It's incomprehensible, absolutely incomprehensible. They're still early on in the investigation. We're going to let the investigators do their work. But it's like, and it's not even what you're thinking. It's just terrible, all the way terrible.
Last question before you go. If I am a defense attorney and I know that my client had been investigated potentially by Edward Fire in the past, do you think that as a defense attorney that they could be going, hey, maybe I should look into this guy, maybe there could be problems with the case that we didn't really know until this case has come up with him and there are concerns about his credibility?
Oh, absolutely. There's a thing we call the Brady List, and that's a case law that establishes that criminal conduct or lying on the stand essentially makes a officer completely, incredible to testify in court. So this brings up all of his cases, and he may have done amazing police work, but once a police officer's integrity is in question, then it can really just erode every aspect of what they do for their entire career. And so, yeah, there's a valid point where defense attorneys can now look up cases that have been tried and have been adjudicated, and possibly have an appeal, or possibly have, let's take a second look at this. And if he's lying about this, that's always the question. If he's lying about this, what else is he lying about? And
Wow.
that's why, as police officers, we have to be completely above reproach, unquestionable.
Yeah. All right, Josh, thank you so much for your perspective tonight. And I know that we've done stories with you in the past, and you're, again, just such a valuable resource. Thank you so much for your time.